I was hoping for a miracle. I prayed for a
Of
miracle
course.
and
Yeah.
everything like that. But when it happened, she took her last breath. We shed our tears. I prayed with her, and I just told her like, "You ain't gotta hurt no more." So it
Right.
was a
Mm.
relief. Like I ain't got, it was a release, and I'm like, okay, you're in a better place now. You're not going through this no more. You ain't got to live
Right.
your life like this because she was a very prideful person anyway. She was the
Mm-hmm.
person that nurtured and cared for people.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Yeah.
the roles got reversed and I'm taking care of her, she used to
Right.
get angry like, no, I can do it,
Yeah.
and then you
Mm.
know what I'm saying. But then she
Yeah.
had to see because it was like he got to do this, and she was
Right.
embarrassed that I had to take care of her that way. You know what I'm saying? I felt
Mm-hmm.
bad because I know how what type of person she was. So I feel
Mm.
like it was a relief for her and me at the end of the day because she was like,
Right.
Wow.
I don't want you to take care of me like this, basically, and I don't want to live like this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I definitely agree. Like it definitely was a relief, and I also just say, it was what was God tendency to do. You know what I'm saying? So I feel
Yeah.
like that's how it went.
Hey, hey, welcome back. Season 2 in full
Season
effect.
2.
Welcome back with your favorite trio. I'm Amanda.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Kristin.
Hey, we got some exciting stuff today. We are so
Absolutely.
excited. In this season, we are bringing special guests along with us on our
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah, super dope.
So
Super dope.
today, we are excited to have a very dear friend, and we will be hearing from a male
Oh,
perspective
love it.
on being a widower.
Yes, I think
Right?
that's super
So,
dope.
widower
Yeah.
is a man who lost his wife,
Mm-hmm.
spouse. So, we all obviously are women who lost our husbands.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Robert,
Yes.
who is a widower.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Robert.
Welcome, welcome.
And he's
Well,
my
thank you for
childhood
having me.
friend.
Thank you for having me.
Aw, Kristen's childhood
Definitely. Go way
friend.
back.
Yes, my
Welcome.
big bruh.
Welcome,
Definitely.
Robert. Well, we like to start. Everyone knows who we are, so we want to hear who you are, Robert.
Well, my name is Robert Huffman, as you can see, and 40 years old, about to be 41 in a couple months. Went to high school and known Christian for a very long time before that, and U.S. Army veteran as well. And I
Mm.
met my
Ooh,
wife when I got out the
cool.
military, and I like that. Appreciate that. And I met my wife when I got out the military, and we was
Mm-hmm.
together ever since. That was 2006, and then I lost
Mm.
her in 2019. So I'm here to,
Mm.
get some support and answer some questions and have a nice conversation with you guys. Because we've been through the same struggle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we are talking today about, thank you, Robert. So, 2019. Tell us a little more. Do you have children? Uh,
Oh
any?
yes,
Okay.
we have three beautiful children. I got
Mm-hmm.
a 15-year-old, but he'll be 16 this year, and we got a daughter. She'll be 10 this year, and our
Mm.
youngest will
Wow.
be 9 this year. So we
Wow.
went back to back with the last two with like Irish twins. They're 13 months
Mm-hmm.
apart. So it's definitely they keep me busy though, but they are the reason that I'm able to keep going and they push me
Yeah.
forward.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're talking about that today, about rediscovering ourselves and life after loss, and how you become a really a completely different
Different person.
person, and
Yeah.
you have to find your new self, really. And so what that's like, and we've talked a little bit from our perspective, so we love to hear from your perspective. Some of the things
Right.
we discussed about secondary losses, and how you lose interests, maybe things, the way that you eat, the way that you handle your day-to-day activities, all of those things. So if you just want to share a little bit how things have adjusted for you, you have children. I know we all have children also, and that parenting role is now on one person. So if you just want to share a little about what that means for your rediscovery. It's been about 5 years.
Going on 6 years in
Six years.
Yeah,
September.
5 years in September. It'll be 6 years in September.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Huff, when we talked, I remember I was saying how when people look at you as a male and you have your children, and a lot of times people will say like, "Oh, you got your kids," or I want you to touch bases on that as well. On how you said it wasn't even a question in my mind. As women, we always like, oh, it's no doubt. You know what I mean? But
right.
having that perspective and how you took on that as well, and I just spoke to your mother-in-law, and she was at his house, and that's my aunt. So I knew his wife. She's my cousin. We grew up, so she passed away from cancer. And I want you to speak on how, that transition as well with her battling cancer too.
Right. So one thing I like to say, my faith never faltered, never dropped in no kind of way when it came to the Lord. And me and her, we was very. That's one thing. Like when we first started, I'm gonna be going all over the place a little bit, but
It's okay.
I took her to church. I was the person that took her to church. You know what I'm saying? She didn't grow up like in the church. Her grandparents took her to church, but when we got together, she hadn't been in church in forever. So I took her to church, and I feel like God made our bond even stronger. So by me saying that, like when we discovered that she had cancer and everything, we did our prayers and everything like that, and then, I was still hopeful that and then she had her ups and downs, so it was a little highs and lows, basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And but going through that journey of her going through the cancer battle, and I kind of look back, and I felt like the Lord was preparing me the whole time, because as a teammate, as you guys going through life, having children, and she's my teammate, so it was she's there, I'm there, she do this, I do that. But when she went through the cancer process, everything fell on me. So we went through that for 2 years. She discovered in 2017. I had her for 2 years. So during that 2 years, I was the one cooking. I was the one taking care of her. I was the one making sure the kids bathed and all that stuff and all that, so she can be resting and stuff like that. So when I look back, I'm like, well, the Lord prepared me that He was going to take her without me, giving up and saying, yeah, you're going to take her, But He was preparing me like, you got this. This is you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So once she transitioned, I was able to keep doing what I was doing. I already was doing stuff with all the kids. I was already doing the little cooking that I can do, what I'm saying? But so it made the transition of being on my own that much easier, because He was already preparing me this whole time, and I didn't even know, So when it comes to that, as being a single father, like my mother-in-law, she still, helps out, and my sister comes through and helps out a lot too, but it's still day to day. It's me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I did encounter people that I talk to on a day to day, and they'd be like, "You got your kids?" I'm like, "Why wouldn't I have my kids?" Like that's like a weird question to even ask me that. Like, exactly, like and it was just like some people mindsets are just like, I don't think y'all know, but a lot of people haven't been through this, so I can, I give them compassion, because it's like, okay, you don't know, and the average man, not saying the average man, I won't say that, I don't know the statistics when it comes to that, but they would be like, oh, he couldn't handle 3 kids, he had to let them go to the grandparents or something like that, what I'm saying? So like, that never would have been the case. That thought never even crossed my mind. Like, what are we talking about? Like, they prepared me for this, and I'm gonna put it on my shoulders and do what I got to do as a man, as a father, and I still as a husband in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So that's the struggle right now. But it's getting better year to year, and I've been through some support groups and all that stuff like that, and I still do therapy and all that. So it's very helpful, and I encourage everybody to do some therapy, because it's very helpful. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep it all in.
Yes. Absolutely. That's wonderful, Robert. I
Yes.
think you touched on so many good things, but something that I want to touch
I
on
know
that
I'm a rambler. Sorry.
no, you're
No, we
good.
love
You're
it.
good. One is I feel like God is always preparing us for our next journey, and we may not always
Mhm.
see it when we're in the battle, but he's already prepared us, and we have what we need within us to get through anything that we're going through. So I think that's
Exactly.
so important to touch on. We may not see it when we're going through it, and that's for everyone, no matter where you are, but you have been prepared and you're being prepared for the next,
Yeah.
and so that's really
Mhm.
important. So
Definitely.
thank you for touching on that. And then one thing that you mentioned, and I feel the same way. If you don't know, Robert, my husband died from cancer, and I was a caregiver also. And something that people sometimes shy away from or, fear talking about is, and it has to go with rediscovering you and who you are now, too, is what you do when that person dies and you were their caregiver, and so much of your life and your identity was tied to caring for that person. So now what do you do? And there's a sense of, and I know people hate to admit it, but it's real. And, there's a sense of relief, relief because you know that they're not suffering anymore, and relief because you did commit and devote so much of your life, and it took so much out of you to care for them. So did you feel any of that? Can you relate to any of that? I know it's
That's
hard
good.
to talk about sometimes, but especially when
Yeah,
it's a terminal illness,
Yeah.
I feel like
definitely.
the reality is that comes with it, and people don't like to admit that all the time.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say I would admit it because at the same time, like, I mean, I haven't told everybody this, but I told my support group and well, mainly my counselor, not the whole group. But one thing I had to do as because as me being her husband and the doctors, like, basically we had to like take her off, the rate of life support, basically, like, and it was coming up, like they said, the tumor was growing worse, and because she had brain cancer, and the tumor was growing worse, she was just getting worse, you know what I'm saying? So she kind of, wasn't there anymore. She was always sedated, basically. So I prayed for her for a long time before we made that decision. It was on me. It wasn't like on nobody else. But I went to her. I went to her parents. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I only had her for 13 years at that time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, y'all had her for the 33 years. So I'm like, I can't make that decision without you guys. Even though the doctor said it's up to me, it's not
Wow.
up to the parents.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So once I prayed about it, we kind of battled between each other because I was like, oh, this. I tried to do this thing that God put on me when it happened. It was like it was her birthday. Her birthday September 2nd, and I was like, okay, let's take her off on her birthday. And this is how I told her parents. I was like, the Lord blessed y'all as a gift with her on September 2nd, 1985. And I was like, let's give him back to the Lord if that's what's going to happen when we take off the respirator. Y'all gift her back to the Lord. I thought it was something nice. The Lord put it on my heart to say it that way. They wasn't having it. They wasn't having it though. They
They
was like,
weren't
no,
having
I don't want her
it.
birthday to be the yeah, you know what I'm saying? They was like, I don't want her birthday to be the day it happened. I'm like, I'm never going. I'm not the person to celebrate the death. I don't even acknowledge the day. People acknowledge it for me, but I don't acknowledge the day she died. I acknowledge her birthday. So
Gotcha.
I wanted just to acknowledge her birthday. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, no matter what, like, and that's what I do. So they didn't want to say, okay, they were like, maybe some days later, probably like a week later, but it ended up being 3 days later. But prior to that, and I knew the days was coming. I was praying to my wife, and I was talking to her, and I was whispering in her ear because I was in the hospital with her every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Mm-hmm.
told her, I was like, we're gonna take you off this machine. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you've been through so much. And I told her, like, you've been through so much. You a fighter. You fight it for a long time, baby.
Yeah.
And I told her straight up, and I told her, like, you can go, baby. You can let go. I don't want you to hurt.
Wow.
I don't want you to deal with that pain.
Right.
So, I told her that every day, and then we finally did it. And I was hoping for a miracle. I prayed for a
Of
miracle
course.
and
Yeah.
everything like that. But when it happened, she took her last breath. You know, we shed our tears. I prayed with her, and I just told her like, "You ain't gotta hurt no more." So it
Right.
was a relief. Like I ain't got, you know, it was a release, and I'm like, okay, you're in a better place now. You're not going through this no more. You ain't got to live
Right.
your life like this, because she was a very prideful person anyway. She was the
Mm-hmm.
person that nurtured and cared for people.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Yeah.
the roles got reversed and I'm taking care of her, she used to
Right.
get angry, like, no, I can do it.
Yeah.
And then, you
Mm.
know what I'm saying? But then she
Yeah.
had to see, because it was like, he got to do this, and she was
Right.
embarrassed that I had to take care of her that way. You know what I'm saying? I felt
Mm-hmm.
bad because I know how what type of person she was. You know, so I
Mm.
feel like it was a relief for her and me at the end of the day, because she was like,
Right.
Wow.
I don't want you to take care of me like this, basically, and I don't want to live like this. You know,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I definitely agree. Like it definitely was a relief, and I also just say, you know, it was what was God tendency to do. You know what I'm saying? So I feel
Yeah.
like that's how it went. You know, and it's like she ain't got to be in that pain no more. We ain't got to sit in the hospitals. They ain't got big poked and prodded and all that. So
Mm.
I feel like it's a relief for me and her. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
Right.
definitely, I agree with that.
Right. Right. Wow.
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 Well,
Man.
we're all taking a breather because
Yes,
Huff, you
after
are
that.
an
Yeah, I'm,
amazing
I'm, I'm,
man.
I'm gonna try to hold it together too, because when I talk, is I do ramble. You can see, and the tears will flow. So I
No, let
apologize
it
if you
go.
know
yeah,
it get
no.
too emotional. You know.
Never apologize.
This
Like
is a safe
this
space.
is. And not only that, men need to hear it. Men need to see
Yeah.
Yeah.
it. Not only that, women need to see that men go through, trials and the struggles. They still cry. They still hurt. They
Mm-hmm.
still remember their wives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing that people don't see because women talks about it
Mm-hmm.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only do women, we are always the face of a lot of things. And men, they are not as open sometimes. They like if we
With
talk
their
about this with their
emotions or being
emotions.
vulnerable.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so for you to even get on here, I feel like that's amazing. And God is speaking through you to help another widower, a widow, and
Yeah.
just somebody who's going through what you are experiencing. And you have your children.
Mm-hmm.
I really applaud you because we're from Youngstown, Huff. Where men they don't even go see their kids when their wives or their
Mm.
their
Mm-hmm.
persons pass away.
Mm-hmm.
So I really respect and I love you, love Paris, and I know God put
Appreciate you.
you to for the assignment. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? We're
Mm-hmm.
all God gives us all assignments,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling Marquise, and I even told Marlo before, I'm like, listen, we do not want this for our lives. You know what I mean? We don't want to have to move forward. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have to do certain things. But God literally knew the assignment for you
Mm-hmm.
because there would have not been a better husband, a better father, a better man for Paris, for y'all children. So God knew what he was doing when he put y'all together, because they have an amazing father. You are really, even your tribe, like it's him, it's Smitty, it's Huff, like they
Right.
all are amazing fathers.
Yeah.
They were great
Good.
husbands. So
Yeah.
God put,
Yeah.
they get through it together and everything. So, I
Good.
mean, I'm so grateful that you even got on to speak about
Right.
it and
Right.
to, bring awareness that there are widowers
Right.
that take on the responsibility and the assignments that are given to them.
So can you talk a little more about that, Huff, about like the support group and what I heard you say that you got counseling or therapy, and
And he's still in it.
honestly, yeah, and honestly, we have, widow support, and it's very limited. But how has it been finding like specific support for? Because some of my, like, I have a bereaved spouse support group, right? And there's a couple of men, more women, but I haven't seen, and probably because I'm not looking for it, but specific for widowers, like that support. How has that been, trying to
Right.
find that support professionally or personally? And it sounds like you've got some, but overall, what was that like?
Yeah. Right. I didn't do it. I would say like I kind of was standoffish for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Especially I really probably got into the support probably a year and a half after she passed.
Okay.
So, but I did get in contact. I just spoke to one guy. It was a like a Woodward group, and it was for men, but I only spoke to him a couple times. And they wanted to do certain meetings, but they kind of stopped doing them. I don't know what happened, but I never made it to a meeting. But I spoke to the guy over the phone, and he said he's gonna keep reaching out to me. So I kind of need to reach out to him and try to see about when it was males and it was all widowers and stuff like that. So kind of the support I got now is kind of really it's through the VA actually because I was actually
Good.
doing PTSD support for so long. You know, I
Good.
was doing PTSD support for a while, but my counselor and that kept saying like your PTSD is getting elevated because of the death of your wife, and they
Right.
noticed that. You
That's
know what I'm saying?
trauma.
So because like
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when I was having my bad days and bad time, it was like, let's try that they like we also got a grief support group. I'm like, let's try that out. So they put me
Yeah.
in that, and I've been in that since 2021 or something like that. And that
Great.
even though it's different people, it's a couple guys on there that lost their wives, it's women on there that lost their husband, but it's people that lost parents, you know, just
Right.
a grief support in
Grief.
general, you know what I'm saying? Different levels of grief. But no matter what, we all connected with that trauma and that grief. So it's like
Absolutely.
I feel comfortable in that group and we're able to talk and discuss things and you know, you get different perspectives of what, you know, holidays and dealing with this thing and dealing with that thing. So it's like that's been helpful. And we do that every Friday and then I do individual support with the chaplain like every 2 weeks on one-on-one basis and stuff like that. Now just letting it out and getting
Right.
different perspectives of like journaling and reading different things and
Yeah.
stuff like that, different
Yes.
books and all that. So that's what my
Yes.
journey been going. And then and with my spirituality as well, I'm on the journey getting closer to the Lord and stuff. So I'm doing more reading in scripture, daily reading Bibles, and you know, going to church still most you know every Sunday. And then I got a workout buddy. He's actually a pastor himself. So while we're working
Nice.
out, we're discussing you know the Lord and stuff like
Nice.
that, and
Mm-hmm.
let me express certain things. So
Awesome.
I'm trying to find different avenues and stuff like that. But it took me a while though. It took me a while. I wasn't even trying. I would
Absolutely.
actually just say I was trying to find temporary happiness with hanging out and going on trips and just hanging with the fellas and just having a good time.
Yep.
But then I realized that like it was fun while it was going down, but then
Right.
right after it's over, it's like
That
I'm
grief
back
will
in the
be there
same
waiting
place.
for
I mean,
you.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yep.
I've been on trips. I've been on trips with my buddies and stuff like that. And then it's days that I'm there, I'm missing my kids, and then I'm
Yep.
crying
Yeah.
because I miss my wife. And I
Of
Yep.
gotta
course.
wipe the tears and hey guys, where
Yeah.
we going tonight? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like so, and I knew that wasn't helpful. You know what I'm saying? So then I
Yeah.
really start diving in and trying to get the you know the
Yeah.
support that I need for sure. So
Yeah.
So
that's I've been
good.
on that journey, and I'm still on that journey. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
How about your children? Are they in therapy as well? And any kind of support
My
groups?
Yeah, my oldest son, he does a weekly thing with a guy, but it's not it's more behavior wise because he was you know lashing out as a
Of
teenager and stuff
course.
like that,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
and then and then I try to talk to him and stuff like that, but you know he trying to be a tough guy, so he don't really
Yeah.
open up. And then we had a few conversations over the years, and he'll let me know. But I'm the type of father like I want to be in there. I want to know what's going on. I want to talk and stuff like that. And then like when stuff come happen to me, or if I'm feeling sad, I'm coming to them like, man, I miss mommy. I'm talking to them and I'm making up, you know, not making up, but bringing up memories and stuff like that to keep
Yeah.
her alive and the little ones because the littlest ones was only 3 and 4, you know, when she
Mm-hmm.
passed or whatever. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like they only got that limited memory
Yeah.
of her, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I keep her alive with stuff on our TVs, on our phones, pictures everywhere, you know what I'm saying? Videos playing
Nice.
throughout every holiday we watch
Yeah.
videos of us in the
Love
past and
it.
stuff like that.
That's
But my
beautiful.
daughter, she had something happen like probably like a year and a half ago. She had like a project in school or something that she had to do, and a teacher ended up telling me that she was sad and she was crying because it was like I think about her mom or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
it hurt me a little bit. So I put her in therapy for a little bit, but then I think she kind of grew out of it a little bit. It wasn't she haven't had no episodes probably like in a year about you know missing her mom or nothing like that. they say they miss her, but it haven't been like no tears or nothing like that, stuff like that.
Right.
But the youngest one, he was so little, he just like
Yeah.
he just go with the flow, whatever we got going on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but I keep her memory alive with everything we got in the house and everything, and I always telling stories that I can't go a day without telling a story about me and their mom. And when we go travel places together, I'm like, oh, me and your mom went here. I think we were just in Cincinnati for Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And I used to work in Cincinnati, and my wife used to come down there, and I was like in an area that I haven't been in a while. And I'm like, oh, me and your mom went to dinner there, and I'd start telling them the whole story. Like, oh, she drove all the way down here in the snow and all this, you know what I'm saying? So
I love
just
it.
just so they can get the gist of us prior to us with kids. So
Yeah.
I definitely keep a
Yeah.
memory alive. So, but the oldest one, I feel like he's still doing his little bit therapy, but the therapist even tell me that he don't really say too much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes around the holidays he might bring up certain stuff, but
Mhm.
other than that, like I said, I just keep her memory alive and tell them stories of her and all that stuff and show videos to keep her memory alive. But it, like I said, the youngest ones, it don't really affect them as much as it affected the oldest one because he was 10 when she passed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that brings up a memory when I had to tell her when we was in the hospital and tell him. I mean, that his mom might not make it. We had to take her off the respirators and stuff and like that. And I say a little joke because it was so silly that he even said it. Like this was right after I told him, like, mommy, mommy might gonna go up to heaven probably if she don't breathe on her own and stuff like that. He started crying. He's like, oh, I don't want her to go, dad. I'm like, I don't want her to go either, son. You know what I'm saying? I was like, but if the Lord want her home, that's one of his angels. He got to take her. And then like that, he's like, and then like probably like 5 minutes later, he's like, you can't get married again. And you can't get no, you can't get no girlfriend or nothing because I don't want another mommy. I'm like, you will never get another mommy. Okay, it's okay. You ain't got to worry about that. I was like, but I joke with him like, I'm only 35 right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so I got to go the rest of my life without nobody. And then he was like, you right. I don't. We'll talk about it. We ain't no need to talk about it now. We got years. Don't worry about it. I was like, but I'm 35. You want me to go 35, at least 35 more years without nobody? And he was like, you right, Dad. We'll talk about it later. So you know what I'm saying. We got a little joke in the midst of that. You know what I'm saying. But yeah,
That's
so
nice.
I think of course, he the one that had took it the hardest because he was 10
Sure.
at the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
He still try to be tough though. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The longest memories with his mom
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we have to ask, I
Yeah.
have to ask, did you guys have to have that discussion again? Or how's that?
The dating,
About
the
another
dating.
mom?
Right. I try. This is one thing too. Like during that period prior to me finding support,
Uh-huh.
that year and a half or something. Like
Yes.
I was lashing out, and I
Yeah.
was like I
Yeah.
say, I was partying,
Yeah.
but it was temporary happiness because at the end of
Right.
the day, it was like
Taking your mind off of what you were really needing to deal with.
Yeah.
exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So the people I dealt with during them times, I never saw a future, but I also was honest with them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Right.
I'm not looking forward for nothing and all that stuff. I was like, we can just be friends and we can hang out
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. We ain't got
Mm-hmm.
nothing else beyond that.
Yeah.
And they'll say yes, but after so long, they want
Yeah.
more, and then I'm like, I can't give you more, and then
Right.
I'm the bad guy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So probably once or twice, I brung a girl around him once or twice before, and then he'd be like, "So, Dad, what's up with that?" I'm like, I don't know, son. I'm like, I don't think I'm really ready. So, not yet. I'm not ready yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only closest we get talking like that. And then
Gotcha.
like there's certain friends I have, and he'll probably see them and he think they pretty or something. He was like, so y'all gonna start dating that? I'm like, so so now he's trying to see what's going on. He's like, so he be asking me questions like, so why y'all not dating? I'm like, because I'm not ready, son. And he was like, okay, you ain't got to be ready, but don't you think this? Don't you think she's pretty? Don't you do that? I'm like, okay, I don't.
Aw.
You
So
know?
he's open now.
I'm like,
He's
I
open
see what
to
you're saying.
that
He's
dating.
He's open. So that to answer your question, he is open.
He is
that's
So my
open.
daughter,
That's
she's
Nice.
not. She's not on that. You know, if my buddies joke and say something about, hey, she look at me like, what they talking about, Dad? Like, no, you ain't about to be dating me. So right now I'm chilling, but like So right now I'm definitely chilling. I'm on a journey. Like I said, I'm getting closer to the Lord, and I just feel like
Yeah.
I feel like the
Absolutely.
Lord brought her to me out of nowhere because I was fresh out the military, so you can imagine how my life was prior to meeting her. So
Yeah.
when I
Right.
really realized that she's the one I wanted to be with and be my wife, I was like, the Lord put us together for a reason. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And all right, love you. And and then sorry about that.
Yeah, no
That's
She
worries.
okay.
I feel I feel like that now that I'm on the journey getting closer to the Lord, that He gonna just put one in my life, and I'm not gonna search for it. It's just
For
gonna fall
sure.
into my lap, and then it's gonna come natural, like just like me and her did. Because I never was like, I'm getting married. You know, as a young man, I ain't getting married. I'm going to be a playboy all my life. Ah, da, 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 da. And she
Right.
came into my life and just changed all that around. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I was
Oh,
talking about in my support group the other day. We was talking about a fond memory of your loved one that you missing. And it's like my fondest memory of her is not of her. It's me speaking of her, speaking about her to my sister and to my mentor. It would be prior to us even becoming a couple and getting married. I remember the moment that I was boasting about her, how great of a person she was, and how
Mm.
trusting she was, and how loving and caring she was. And my oldest cousin, he like my mentor. He a pastor as well. He was like, "Well, that means she trusts you, man, and that means I don't know. God might put her in your life for a reason." I'm like, "You're right."
Mhm.
And then from that day forward, I was like, I was shooting for a family and being married. Where you know what I'm saying. So I feel like that's gonna have to be the same kind of turnaround for that to happen again. It's gonna have to come out the blue and make me feel a certain type of way because I know the feeling I had when I knew I loved her and wanted to be with her
Right.
for the rest of my life. And I'm
Right.
like, if I don't get that feeling, I'm not gonna even waste nobody's
Sure.
time. You know what I'm saying? And I know the Lord will bless me with that again eventually. You know.
absolutely.
Awesome.
And he will.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We all believe that. So.
No, definitely. I believe it for you, Huff. I do. I do.
So you touched on some
I
really great
appreciate
things,
it.
and I think that we all just maybe if we can all touch on something that has been helpful in rediscovering who we are now after loss. Huff, you mentioned quite a few things, and I appreciate the fact that you mentioned that you guys go to the gym and work out. So like that self-care, taking care of your physical body,
Yeah.
that's so important.
Mhm.
That's often overlooked. I mean, you really mentioned all
A lot.
aspects
Yeah.
of rediscovering and healing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
the therapeutic, the spiritual,
Yes.
so the emotional, the mental, emotional, the
Mhm.
spiritual, the physical. You're really touching on all aspects, so that's wonderful and definitely commendable. Kudos to you. So you said journaling,
Thank you.
therapy, gym, your support system, your
Mm-hmm.
boy, getting together.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that, aside from those things, because those are all really, really great
Yeah.
things and really touches on being able to discover
Yeah.
and find yourself again. What are some of the things that you all have done or do to find you and do? I know we've talked about things before, and I
Yeah.
know traveling and things like that, but just want to hear from everyone as we kind of wrap up.
Man, I mean, like I said, in the last season for me, it was a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
I did a lot of traveling around the world, kind of immediately after B died, because during therapy, I was asked like, what did little Sophie always wanted to do? Go there and discover that. Because of my childhood trauma and all those things that I wasn't able to do, and I was like, oh, I want to see the world. So that's what I did. I traveled. I traveled a lot. I did solo traveling. I lived outside the country for over a month, and that was a lot of just facing my fears and just sitting in it, right? And just really accepting it. So that was, it helped me to be bold and courageous. And I literally had a whole mindset shift when I came home. It's like if I can go to another country, I don't speak the language, by myself in the mountains, just going through the jungles and
Yeah.
the mountains and all of that, then what can't I do?
Facts.
I had to
Yeah.
challenge myself.
Yeah.
So that really helped me. And of course, support system, your friends and your family and those that are, committed and climbing this thing with you. I think that's so essential and important, and helps you build strength and muscle, right? Because they always say, grief is like the ocean, right? So you just learn how to swim as you build the muscle, because grief doesn't get any smaller. You get bigger, You
grow around it.
You grow around it.
Yep. Kristin?
For me, I know I had spent a lot of time with like discovering a different relationship with God and working on myself and on my mental, because I had 2 sons at that time, and I wanted to see them, I wanted them to see like, okay, a trial happened, but what can we do to better ourselves so that we don't drown in our sorrow? So I felt myself working on myself a lot, like Soph said, challenging. I tell people all the time, I challenge myself so much. And like I say, like building a deeper relationship with God, like literally. And with that, you'll discover so much stuff about yourself. Like, I was trying different like skin cares, just doing different things, like things that I never committed to. Like, so I tried to stick to a commitment. You know what I mean? Like if I told myself I'm gonna do this for 30 days, I did it for 30 days. Like, oh, I can actually do this. You know what I mean? You find yourself like, I never imagined myself doing this ever. And then it's like, I did it. You know what I mean? So, and I think that brings a little, make you feel better about yourself, seeing that you actually stuck to a commitment and actually followed through. And when Big Shot passed, I renovated his properties that I had got, and you know what I mean? That brought little life to me, like, wow, like, seeing your work and, actually never ever renovating your property, and you go in there and it took months, but I did it. And then I wrote the book. Release and unleash through grief, because I'm like, I'm releasing, I'm writing. Like Robert said, he was journaling, and I found myself journaling, and I'm like, how? And she like, write a book. You could possibly help somebody. So I feel like discovering myself, helping other people help me too. So, you know what I mean? That's a little bit about me discovering just things, finding myself doing things that I didn't think that I could do.
I love it.
Yeah.
What about you,
For
Amanda?
me, a lot of the same things, writing a lot and spending time with myself and just getting my thoughts out. One thing I've learned is I hold a lot in, all that trauma, and, my nervous system can't take it. The release is really important for me. So one of my big major things is physical exercise, running. I love to run. I could run and just
I wish I loved to run.
Me too.
Just in the natural elements of the world, it's just such a good release for me, and I think so much. It's just so clarifying for me, so that's one of my big things. Taking care of my physical,
mental
self, and it's all of that. I feel like exercise and movement in the body, it takes care of all of that. It takes care of your mental, it takes care of your emotional, it takes care of your physical. Takes care of my spiritual, because I'm talking to God while I'm running and crying and just letting it out. So that has been really big for me. And then sitting still and writing and releasing. And I too went through my book afterward. I journal a lot, and I gratitude journal a lot, just being so very grateful for all the things that are here, present, what I do have. That's very, very helpful for me, and has helped me to rediscover me, where I am now, and who I am now, and what I am now, and what I love, and what I don't love, and all of those things.
Because a lot of things change, and just like even Robert said, we all said, like, it's just when you find yourself, all of us, we all found ourselves losing our spouses and hurting, feeling the pain that like we probably never imagined. You know what I mean? And then you're like, what do I do? Who am I now?
Yeah.
Because we all are not the same person who we were when we had our spouses. And then you're like, okay, self-discovery is real. Like I'm like, I'm a new version. So God, what to do with her? Like, cause who is she? I gotta find it.
Person?
Yeah, who is she? Like, okay, Kristin. You know what I mean? Hey Siri, who is Kristin? But so it's just, it's really important that you dig deep and you find what you like, you stick to it. If it's something that doesn't resonate, you stay from it. You know what I mean? And I think I did a lot of that. You know, you're going to lose people and, you know, but I'd be like, look, I lost myself.
And gain people.
And gain people for sure. You know what I mean? But you like, you know, you lose a lot coming with this. Like you said, that secondary loss and, you know, with a lot of things. So self-discovery is real. And if you're, you know, if you lost somebody, even if you lost yourself, you know what I mean? It's okay to, you know, find you again, and it's okay to discover different things. You know what I mean? Yeah, because growth is different. That's why we don't know it. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta, you know, figure it out. Figure it out.
Any last minute thoughts or final thoughts? Huff?
Anything you would like to say?
I thank y'all. I just like to thank y'all for having me. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's a great outlet to speak on, you know, different situations when it comes to grieving a spouse and stuff like that. And if y'all got any other subject next time, I'd like to join y'all again if y'all have me.
Of
course,
absolutely.
We appreciate your vulnerability and your willingness to show that emotional intelligence side of a man.
Yes. I love it.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, no, it is. I really appreciate you coming on and even taking the time. You know what I mean? Like he said, this was his chore day.
Taking you away from your chores.
I kind of interrupted my chores for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
You could
It's
use
okay
the
though.
break.
I'll get back to it before football come on.
Before football, right?
College football.
If you
Definitely
could,
though, like I know, hopefully y'all have some more men on here and stuff like that. I like to
absolutely.
get their perspective as well and stuff like that, and it's very therapeutic to speak on everything like this stuff for sure. I appreciate it.
if you had to say one thing to a widower who literally just lost his spouse, what words of encouragement, or what would you, not if it's not words of encouragement, but it's all words of encouragement. Let me say that. But what would you say to somebody? You know what I mean? From like a male to male, you know, widower to widower.
That's good.
I definitely would say, like, you know, it's not the end of the world for sure though, and I always go to spiritual when it comes to it. I would say, like, it's gonna be something you're gonna have to carry for the rest of your life, but the Lord built you for this, and I feel like the Lord built me for this, and you can get through anything. And then, like, you just gotta find your support though. Like, you can't keep it, especially as a man. We're not gonna talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta find somebody that you can vent to. You can't just vent to yourself. I would say journaling helps. I would say that as well, but speaking it out loud and speaking to somebody about it, it would definitely be a relief off your back. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're going to get through it though. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm still on the journey though. So like, it's no finish line. You're always going to carry it for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? But it just, the stuff that you carrying just get a little lighter, or you get stronger. Like she said, you know what I'm saying?
You get stronger for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I really would say to somebody that's lost their spouse just recently. But like, I know it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be some tough times, but you Lord prepared you for it, and you don't even know it. And you're gonna be able to do it for sure.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Huff. It's been
thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Love you, Huff. Love you. And he sends me prayers every single day. Every single day, Huff literally sends scriptures every single day. Like, he's really amazing. Right? Yes. Thank you. Love you.
Getting closer to the Lord, man. The Lord is gonna get you through anything,
absolutely,
man. For sure.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me, y'all. Nice meeting y'all.
Love you, Huff. Thank you. I'll be texting you later.
Take care.
Y'all have a good day.
Peace and blessings.